Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
Okay, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
And I must be the rookie, huh?
I'm Bill the Dealmaker. Who are you?
I'm Pete the rookie. Yeah. But I am making progress, you know.
Here we go. Here we go. You talk and I'll listen.
Yeah, well, who's on television?
Here we go.
It's true.
You got your own TV show now?
No, I got an episode, though. It's a start.
Yeah? What's it called?
First Time Flippers.
On DIY.
DIY, that's right. Your daughter, Jessie, and I have been doing a couple of shows. You notice?
Yeah.
Yeah, you noticed.
It's a lot of work.
Oh, my God. It's not that much fun. It's a lot of hard work. Yeah. It's not just like taking pictures. I actually worked 2 days, like all day. Yeah. Busted my butt. One more to go. I'm glad it's over. Yeah. I don't want to be a contractor. You see me demo a kitchen, though, boy. Knock walls down. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Install kitchen cabinets. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to tackle my kitchen at home one of these days now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Confidence is high now.
Too much. Hey, I changed an elbow pipe there in my sink. Yeah.
It's called a trap.
That trap. That's what I did. I changed the trap.
This is not the trap your wife gave to you when you said I do. This is a trap for the water.
But she gave me the trap. She works right next to the plumbing supply. I had her buy it for me. Mary, just bring this in and say, give me one that doesn't have holes in it. Yeah, we're doing that. And, of course, the closing on the first rehab I did with you is a week or two away.
Yep.
So, cha-ching.
There you go. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually is. I mean, the thing about it is it takes so long.
It's hard work.
It's not even that. I don't mind that. I've worked hard my whole life and not made money.
Right.
Working hard and making money is like a novelty to me. Like I really get a fat check at the end instead of, well, thanks for all your hard work. You know, seriously. The thing is, it's stretched out so far. It's not like you go, oh, look, I won the lottery, and all of a sudden you have money instantly. It's spread out so far. It's like, how you doing? Well, it's inch by inch, and it happens eventually. So it's not this shock of joy. But I think when the check hits my hands, it'll be pretty good. It just takes months to get there. What the heck? I'd rather get there than not get there.
So what do you mean you haven't made money? You work hard. What does that mean?
Well, I've had other jobs.
Like
music and art and, helpy people thingy things. And there's not always money in some of that stuff.
Music,
yeah.
How do I know you can do music?
Well, now that you mention it, did you hear the intro to the song today, Bill?
Yes.
It has a name.
It does?
It has a name, and it has a composer.
Oh. So what's the name of the song?
Rising Higher.
You've been dying to tell me that.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
How long have you been walking around with that?
4 weeks.
And who's the composer?
Myself, truly, yours truly.
So thank you for that, because yes, Peter did make the music, and the sound effects and all of that stuff, the slot machine and the money at the end and all of that. So you did a great job with the music. So we have a new intro, intro, and a new exit. So.
Shout out to my two buds from the band, John and Jack, who got together to produce, direct, and record and all that stuff. The like 6 or 7 tracks it took. I played the guitars, I played the bass, had a drum machine, all that stuff.
Thanks, John and Jack.
That's
Appreciate
right.
it.
They're really good buds of mine.
Good. Awesome. So, Peter.
And it is called Rising Higher. Think of it. Rising higher.
I didn't have to think of it. It said enough. I didn't have to think about it.
The music rises higher because we are rising higher.
Nice.
I am done.
Nice. The artist has spoken.
And now the artist decided to make money a couple of years ago. Honey, how much we make in Social Security? What?
Yeah.
Back to work.
All right, so today we're on episode 37, but I want to clarify we had 2 episodes of 36.
Yes, 36A and B?
Yeah, so, well, not technically. We actually did a show called $10,000 a Month Technique, and then we did another show, and they're 2 completely different shows on the same topic.
Mm-hmm.
The second show is probably a lot more detailed. I think it's just not. I think we just did it by accident, but we ended up with 2 really good shows, so we're going to keep both of them.
You actually fessed up on that, eh?
Of course. I know when to say it. So today's show is episode 37.
And what's our topic today, Bill?
Deal hacking.
Do we have that done yet?
No,
We didn't do that one. Yeah. Check the records.
screw you.
Hey, we started this months ago. God knows. Deal hacking?
Deal. Oh no, it just sunk in, huh?
Not even. How do you do deal? The only kind of hacking I know is when you're like hacking someone's computer, or a hack is a way to shortcut something or do it better.
Right.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I haven't figured it out yet.
Explain yourself. Deal hacking.
Yeah. So, if you don't qualify for a mortgage and you need to buy a house, what do you need to do?
Deal hacking.
That's right.
Okay. But what? All right. How do I do deal hacking?
Okay, so this happened to me one time when I was a young investor. I was actually looking for a place to live. So I was calling around rents.
Yeah.
And I had done a couple of tapes and seminars and stuff. So just on a complete whim, nobody taught this to me, just being an ass. Actually, like I say, I'm a dumbass because I just do shit sometimes and don't think about it. I just do it because I think it's right.
And that's your strong point.
Yeah, thanks. My wife doesn't think so.
I'll talk to her. We're good friends. I'll talk to her.
Yeah. So I said to the guy, I'm on the phone, and I'm asking about the apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment in an apartment complex, right? So the stupid shit that I did when I was young, if I could go back, it would be altogether different. Some points in my life. I'm going to tell you 2 stories about that, okay?
And the rest will be a movie?
The rest will be a movie. I'm not going on TV, no. Peter corrected me. He's not a movie star. He's a TV star.
No, well, to be honest, I'm just a TV personality. There's
Oh,
no
there you go.
star yet.
Okay, all right.
You can just say I did it, and that's all for now, folks.
Oh, so should I tell you that I got an email yesterday from another TV station?
Oh, no!
They're looking for millennials, though, so that's a Jesse.
I'm out. I'm out of that one. No amount of makeup and hair dye will do. Even my sons aren't millennials. Oh, no.
So, anyways, I call this guy up, and he's got an apartment for rent, right?
Sure.
So, I talk to him, ask him this and ask him that, and bedrooms and bathrooms, and
heat,
parking,
and electricity,
and,
kind of hot water,
condo fees, and yucca, right?
Hmm.
The very last portion of the conversation, I get this whim, without even thinking about it, and said, "Hey, I got a question for you." I said, "Yeah. Did you ever think about rent to own?" "Oh, yeah," he says, "I've thought about that." He says, "You interested in that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Come on over, let's talk."
So would that be rent to own the apartment or the whole building?
Just the apartment.
So could you do that? Like just sell a part?
It was a condo.
Oh, it was a condo. Okay.
So in other words, it was an apartment building that were individual condos.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him if he would do a rent to own.
Sure. That fits.
So I actually went and looked at the apartment, and he was willing to do it. He was going to give me a year to decide, but do the paperwork now that I own, that I would have the.
Did you have an option?
I didn't have anything. I never did the paperwork.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my point is this: it fell into my lap.
You flapped your gums.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I ended up in the house that I was living in Meriden because it was first of all, it was cheaper, but it was on a lake, and it was nice land, and all that kind of stuff. But I should have done it. Years before that, probably 5 or 8 years before that, I had my godfather, who raised me, had a piece of property that he had his girlfriend living in, and then they decided to move in together. So she had a house that she lived in probably 5 or 8 years, and they needed to sell the house. And he offered me rent to own.
Did you know about it then?
No.
Yeah.
I was like 17 years old.
Jeez, forget it.
18 years old.
You had your attention on other things.
And she speaking of the other thing I had my attention on, had family in North Haven. The house was in Meriden, and it was, at the time, a long-distance phone call, and she talked to her mother an hour and a half a day.
No, okay.
And the reason why we didn't buy that property is because I was concerned that I couldn't afford the phone bill.
Totally understand. I had I have teenage boys.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a phone bill one day.
How stupid, because I'm going to tell you right now, the house was only $27,000. And I'd own that house, free and clear. And I probably would still own that house. Okay? But it's an example of what I'm talking about with deal hacking. So you need to buy a house and you think that you need to get a mortgage, right? And own a house.
That's what they're told. We're told.
There are a lot of people like us that do creative financing. It's called rent to own, or we call it no bank qualifying.
Yep. And people hear the no bank part. They don't even hear the qualifying part. They're not sure what you mean.
Right.
But they hear no bank and they call.
Right.
What does that mean, by the way? I heard no bank, but what is that? But they hear no bank and they love it.
Right. So all the time we're talking about buying and selling houses, right? We're always talking about it as an investment property. So today what I thought we would talk about is what happens if you're looking for a house for yourself. Instead of just an investment point.
Yeah, because I know somebody that needs a house soon or a place to live.
Right.
So I'm all ears.
So one of the ways that if I was doing it, which is probably the first 30 or 40 deals that I did was this way. It's called getting the deed or subject to. Okay. Now you could do what I was just talking about. You could do a lease with an option to purchase. But I'm going to tell you the difference and the reason why I picked subject to as a strategy to do this. Okay. So I actually have a coaching client that just bought a house on Monday.
Yeah.
Off the MLS. So I went out there to help them look at the house for the repairs. House is a little dysfunctional. Okay. Meaning that the floor plan is not so great.
Yeah.
Okay? And when I first looked at it, I'm like, oh man, this house is going to take 50 or 60 grand of repairs. But you know how I am. I walk around and I walk around and I walk around, and I realize that, just leave the house the way it is. And just do cosmetic stuff. The kitchen, not replace the kitchen. The kitchen was good enough. It had, granite tops. And long story short, I came up with it's a $25,000 or $30,000 renovation.
Okay.
Which is what she figured anyways, right? So I came around to her way of thinking. I'm sorry for this cough. This thing, we're going to change these.
Yeah, I actually tried contacting the company, and they have a horrible website, and you couldn't buy things. It was just, I have to go check
we
again.
We have, what are these things called?
Well, we have.
I call them spit catchers, but.
Oh, they're windscreens.
Oh, windscreens.
They're the circular windscreens in front of the microphone.
And when I put my face in front of it, there's dust or something in it, and it makes me cough. Anyways,
that's why I have a mustache.
Is that why?
It's my dust catcher.
Is that the reason why?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You thought of that when you were 17 years old?
I thought of that now just to be weird. I was low on jokes the last episode. I'm trying to catch up.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah. We're okay with the deficit.
Okay.
So, my joke. Completely lost my train of thought. We have to be careful with this because I had one person complain, or a couple people complain, that we were doing the 14 steps of how to hire a realtor, and we missed a couple steps because of distractions.
Hey, what was that noise in the other room?
No, it's more like you distracting me.
I'm not the one who coughed.
Oh, innocent little Pete.
I'll take notes. Piece of paper.
Anyways. So where were we?
I don't know. I wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
You were supposed to be listening. All right. So she purchased this house, and it was a bit dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around, and I'm thinking to myself, it's kind of a close deal. It's like a $230,000 house, and they got to pay like $140,000, and need $30,000 of renovations. It's kind of like, it fits the formula. It's like $10,000, $12,000 above my Mayo formula. So I need to help this student. I mean, what do? I mean, do I tell him not to buy the house? And so anyways, I'm walking around, and I decided at the very end, I said to her, you need to buy the house. She goes, why? So I'm going to tell you right now, it's not a high profit. It's not a moneymaker. But it's your first deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small house. It's good on renovation. You know, in other words, it's not a huge renovation. It's a mild renovation. So to get her used to working with some contractors and to get her a realtor, you know, she's already got a realtor, but she'll have to deal with the insurance and the utilities. Now this is a flip.
Yeah.
Okay. And it'll get her feet wet. The reason why I'm telling you this is because once she purchased the house, okay, and this is kind of what I'm talking about with deal hacking, although I'm going to keep jumping around with it. She purchases a house as a flip.
That's right.
Means she's got 12 months worth of money.
Yeah.
House is in her name.
Mm.
She could refinance the house, which is I think what they're going to do after or before the flip. I mean, you can wait till after the flip so it'll appraise.
Right.
Refinance the house on a 20-year or 30-year mortgage and then rent it. So you buy the property with a private lender,
right,
or a hard money lender, right? So let's clarify the difference between those two.
Okay.
My definition of a hard money lender is somebody that charges points. Somebody that doesn't charge points is a private lender.
Mm-hmm.
That's my definition. There are many out there, but my private lender charges, between 7, depending on what it is, between 7 and 9%. Hard money lender is more like a bank. They have more concerns and considerations. So they charge more money. A lot of times they'll charge 2 or 3 points, which is percent. So if you borrow $100,000 and they charge 3 points, you're only getting $97,000, but you owe $100,000.
Right. 3 points or 3%.
Right.
Now I know there are businesses that do this. They have names and all that. Are there individuals, private people who act the same way as a hard money lender?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they try to be. They charge 3 points and 12%.
Mm.
I don't pay any points, and I usually pay 7 to 9%. But my private money, my money guys like me because I move, and I keep the money employed.
Yep.
So they're not getting, even though I might have a project for 6 months or 7 months, I'll reemploy that money almost immediately, usually within 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
I keep the money moving.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's different projects, it's always being employed. So, and their family members, and the one that I just took on, the new girl I just took on as a private lender, I'm still indoctrinating her to come around to my way of thinking. She's getting there. But the benefit there is that she tells me all the time that she learns a lot from working with me, because she'll go out and look at properties. She's also a realtor, a broker, all that kind of stuff. So she brings a lot to the table. And we're buying houses together. So it's a good thing.
It looks like a win-win to me.
Yeah. So, somebody like her, I just bought a house yesterday. I bought it at 10:30 at night, and by noontime the next day, I had an offer accepted on the MLS.
Oh, yeah.
So I could buy that house with her, do the renovation, and then turn around, and if I wanted to keep it, just refinance it.
Now, there'd be a limit based on your personal credit to refinance, right? It's in your own name.
Well, what would the limit be?
Well, how many houses could you get on your own name with your own credit?
I think it would matter about how much my income is.
Huh?
I think it would matter about how much my income is.
How much money you have?
How much my income is.
Oh, right. So, there's just, we use private money because you can do as many deals as you can structure, but your own name, you can do 1 or 2, 3, but there's a point. You couldn't continue because of your income? Well, how many houses can one person buy?
Depends on their income.
Right.
So if I'm making $1 million a year, how many houses could I buy?
4.
Okay, so why only 4?
Because you only make $1 million.
Okay, but if I can make the payments.
Yeah, well, maybe not 4, but I'm just saying it depends on your credit and your income and all that. So there's a limit at some point.
I don't think so.
Well, how many houses could I buy on my income?
Probably not many.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, there's a difference
you have
between
a fixed idea in there somewhere.
No, I've been told you need private money lenders because you can only do so much with your own money. You know, the average guy has one house. Can he buy a second one? Maybe. Can he buy 3, 4, 5? I don't know. I couldn't.
That datum, they're two different datums.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why a flipper can only buy so many houses is because he'll run out of money.
Mm-hmm.
I can buy as many houses as I want as long as my income keeps growing.
Yeah.
So if I'm making $2,000 a month on one house right now, and I buy another house and I make $4,000 a month, that means I can buy another house.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, the income from the houses generates the next one. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Right, so it makes a difference on the income because each time you buy a house and collect rent, that's income now.
Yeah.
So you can. I mean, I'm sure there's at some point you'll saturate, but I mean, if that was the case, then how do these guys buy apartment buildings and own like? I heard the other day somebody talking. I forgot. Maybe I was listening to a podcast or something like that. Guy owned 3,600 apartment units.
Ouch. Leveraging.
So if that was the case, then how could he do it?
Yeah. Well, he did take money from one apartment, equity, buys the next one, et cetera, down the road.
So realize that a debt-to-income ratio is the biggest thing that will stop you. So what does that mean, debt-to-income? Well, it's how much debt you got to your income. So if you keep raising your income, then how much more debt can you have?
Right.
It's a ratio.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't say a dollar amount. It's just a ratio.
Sure.
So
Okay.
as you keep that ratio in place, you can buy as much as you want.
Yeah, there's just always like none of your own money, none of your own credit, to buy real estate. I'm sure they do that and say that. We do that because some people don't have money.
Right.
But when you do, and if you can do it, then you got rental. Okay.
Except there's something that you haven't realized yet, and I have in the past and am re-realizing it now. When you start making money, what do you do with the money? You can only use so much of it. I mean, you could obviously buy new cars and houses and waste it, but most investors aren't like that.
Mm-mm.
Some people are like that, but not most. So
Those aren't the investors.
what do you start doing when you start making, $30,000, $40,000 a house and you're doing 20 of them a year?
Mm-hmm. You reinvest it.
Into what?
Whatever made you the money in the first place.
You would think, right?
Or,
So now you're going to start holding properties.
that's right.
And you're going to start buying apartments. And you're going to start doing things that you know how to, because that's your realm of education, right? So at some point you're going to want to start getting. You're going to want to stop working, right? Because flipping is a job intensive business. I mean, technically, per Kiyosaki, you're buying yourself a job.
Yeah.
Because every month you got to go out there and look for new deals. You got to run the contractors. It is definitely the hardest way to make money in real estate. Right? All my point is when I'm saying deal hacking is in the beginning you may not have credit. You may not have income. Okay? But even though you're buying these houses like my student is doing, she's buying the house. She's going to renovate it. And she's going to get it ready for a flip. And worst case scenarios, if it doesn't sell on the market because it's a little dysfunctional, she could just refinance it and put it in her portfolio and make $400 or $500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's deal hacking. Okay? How about this one? We talk about slot deals all the time, right?
Sure.
Why couldn't you move into a slot deal? If you're looking for a house.
Sure.
You're going to give the guy
yeah.
$10 down.
That's right. That's right. You don't have to give yourself that. Yeah, I was actually
You don't have to
thinking
make the fee.
That's right. I got a family member. I'm thinking, how can I get this person a place to live?
So if you find them a slot deal, right, which is slot deal, I mean, we've explained to go back to episode 35 and 36, and we explained it in great deal there.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have a slot deal, right, then just move into it yourself.
Right. And all you do is make the payments.
And then somewhere along the line, you'll do another couple deals or whatever, and you'll fix your credit or do whatever you got to do, and just buy the house yourself. Just go refinance it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I started out by saying the way that I would do it, because a slot deal, I mean, you could do it that way. If you have no money, you can go just do some marketing. We talked about before in episode 36B, okay, we talked about calling for sale by owners.
Yeah.
And doing a prospect suspect form and do a slot deal with them. Right?
Yeah. Do slot deal.
And then just go move in the house.
Yeah.
Why not?
The only thing that could happen is they might want a few $1,000s down. And if they did, you come up with that. A lot of times they don't need it.
Yep.
And then you just move in. Yeah, I've thought of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But steal hacking. Because what you're doing is you're buying a house for yourself, and then you go refinance it later.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so subject to. What is subject to? Or we call it getting the deed. It's system number 5.
Right.
So if the equity is 80%, if the loan to value is 80% and you got 20% equity,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can do a subject to deal. The way a subject to deal works is the person owns a house, has a deed in their name, and they have an underlying mortgage, right? Whatever that mortgage may be. So on a $200,000 house, it has to be less than what, $140,000, $160,000, $160,000.
$160,000. So
Right.
there's $40,000 equity, roughly.
Right. So what you could do is you could buy the property with the underlying mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So that person would actually deed you the property, so you own it. The deed's in your name,
Mm-hmm.
and the mortgage stays in their name.
And you make the payments.
And there's a lot of people going, I would never do that right now.
Well, yeah, back up to why would he take $160 if it's a $200,000 home?
Right. He's motivated.
Yeah, he's motivated, and he's also been enlightened that if he sells a house, he's not getting $200,000.
Right.
He's getting something closer to $160. Especially if he needs repairs, he's getting $150. So he's not losing a thing.
Right.
But he has to be enlightened on that point.
So I bought my first 30 or 40 houses that way.
Mm.
Because guess what?
Yes.
It's 6 documents, and I own the property. I didn't even use lawyers. I didn't use realtors. I didn't do anything.
And the owners weren't concerned about the no lawyer thing?
No. No, they were motivated.
Mm.
Okay, and every one of them, I cashed them out, and every one of them made money. Okay. So here's what happens. Let's clear up some of the stuff here that are running through people's heads. So first of all, why would somebody sell their house at a $40,000 equity? Like you said, first of all, it's not $40,000 because they got closing costs, and it's going to be 10 or 12%. So it's going to be $20,000 or $30,000 in closing costs, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, whatever problem they have, because realize the best way to make money in this business, or the only way to make money in this business, is to make offers to motivated sellers. That's the way you make money in this business. That's like the secret that's so obvious you can't even see it.
Yeah. It's like air.
Yeah.
What air?
Yeah. Right? Or fish in water. What water? Right? So the most simplest way that you can put it is to make offers to motivated sellers. And sooner or later, you're going to buy a house. Right? So what motivates somebody to sell a house? What makes them motivated? Now, motivated is not desperate.
Right.
Desperate is, I haven't paid my mortgage payment in 2 months, and I'm going to lose the house. Either give me the money or I'm walking away.
Mm-hmm.
That's desperate. I try not to do those deals, although I have done them. Reason why is because there's later on they can come back and say, well, I wasn't really that way, and he really scared me, and I signed the documents because, and you can get sued for equity stripping like I did.
Mm-hmm.
I won, but it happens.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that have a situation that is caused by a house. Like I was talking about this the other day. It's called love.
Love is a 4-letter word. There's a song. Love make you do stupid things.
I'm guilty of that.
Our friend Christine. Love make you do stupid things.
Yeah, Christine Ullman.
Yeah, that's right.
So what happens is especially in today's generation, what happens is a lot of divorced people, will don't even have to be divorced, but a lot of divorced people will find somebody later on their second round, and they both have houses and kids and cars and dogs and everything, and they end up merging into one, and then they have the other.
Yeah, got 2 payments.
Now, they can make both payments because she was supporting her house and he was supporting his house before they met. So it's not a do-or-die desperate situation, but they are throwing money away.
Yeah.
And they know that, and they want to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So the house is causing the problem, right? Divorce is another one. You know, you got two people that they can't get along. They won't talk to one another. The lawyer's in the middle, and the lawyer doesn't know how to sell the real estate. He knows how to do the paperwork, but he don't know how to do the sale, right? And because they're not talking to one another, a realtor will have trouble with that because not most realtors will work with both sides and work things out because they're not that good at it, right? So you can come along and be the communicator, you know, and put them together and actually get a deal, right? Another one would be people are moving. They need to move.
Job.
Yeah, job.
Yeah.
Or family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like one time I had someone that had an ill parent in another state.
Yeah.
And had to move.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with their house? I mean, they're going to keep making their house payment?
Bill, I have 2 houses.
And you have. Yeah. There you go. Probate's a big one.
Yeah, there I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See? It's probate.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of reasons that people would be motivated. Right? Now, you're not motivated at this point because you can swing both payments and your mom's still alive and she's got her money and you're using her money. But if she wasn't, you
the house is free and clear anyway.
Yeah.
Just a tax payment and some bills.
So, but there's a lot of reasons why somebody would be motivated. They're not so motivated. To me means that there's a house that's in the way, creating a problem, and they're looking for a solution, and you're the solution because you're a professional home buyer, right?
Right. And don't think just because you're not motivated that somebody else isn't.
That's right. Yeah, never think that because you wouldn't do it, somebody else wouldn't. So here's the point that I'm trying to make. So if they got a 12 or 13% closing fees if they sell with a realtor on a $200,000 house, that's $25,000, right? We'll say 25 to 30 grand.
Mm-hmm.
They got $40,000 worth of equity. Question is are they willing to pay you 10 or 15 grand to solve their problem?
Right.
And that's exactly what they're doing with their equity is paying you 10 or 15 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when you find that person and they are out there. There are plenty of them out there.
But they're not on the MLS.
They're not on the MLS. You have to find them. I find them through direct mail. I like to sneak through the mailbox and find those situations.
Because can you tell by driving by the house?
No. They're the prettiest ones.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you find those, what happens is that person's motivated enough to be able to pay you his equity to solve his problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's go over the obstacle of, well, why would they keep the mortgage in their name? You know, what happens if I don't pay the mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is very correct. What happens if I don't pay the mortgage? Well, let me tell you what happens because this happened to me. I had a house I closed on in Wallingford, and I had a lawyer do the closing. It was actually a subject to deal. I had a tenant in there like 27 months or 28 months or something like that. They went and got a mortgage and cashed us out. So I had a regular closing. About 3 months after that, I'm walking into my office, and the sheriff comes up to me and says, "You Bill Hawthorne?" I said, "Yep, I got something for you." And he serves me papers.
I got something for you.
Yeah.
Is it cookies?
Yeah.
Is it something good?
So he gives me this. It's a foreclosure proceeding. They're suing me. Right? Okay. Valuable lesson there. Okay. Now, it ended up that the attorney...
Your ex-attorney?
Yeah. Had $140,000 payoff money that he didn't pay the bank. And got away with it for 3 months. And then yelled and screamed at me because he had to pay $4,000 or $5,000 in fees to fix it.
Yeah.
But his choice was either to fix it or to get disbarred because that was the conversation I had with him. Because I would rip through him like you wouldn't believe.
So... Why wouldn't you notice that he didn't pay it? Isn't there paperwork that happens or notes or something?
No, because it was going to the house.
Is what?
I guess it was going to the house. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. All I know is it surprised me.
Yeah,
but it was the best thing in the world to happen to me because up until that point, if somebody said to me, well, you know, it's a risk, I would say, you're right, and that would be it. Now I tell that story because here's the reason why. When I do getting the deed deal, the deed goes in my name and the mortgage stays in their name. Mm-hmm. So that means when you go to the town hall, on the clerk's, what's filed is a deed with my name.
Okay.
So as soon as the bank decides they're going to do a foreclosure, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go do a title search. And whose name's going to be on title?
Oh, they'll see the deed. Your name is on it, so you're not in the background. You're right there.
So when they sue, who are they going to sue?
Both of you?
Right.
Okay. Because you're both involved.
And who's got deeper pockets usually? Who has more than one house?
Hopefully you.
Usually, yeah.
Right.
Right? So is the person that is holding the mortgage that much at risk? Was I able to just walk away and steal their house?
No, you can't.
Right? So if I don't pay and we go into foreclosure proceeding, the worst case scenario is we both have to show up at court.
Right. Well, he gets the house back. What happens? Either you pay or he gets it. What happens?
You show up at court.
Yeah, but how does it resolve?
You show up at court.
Yeah, but what do they do?
I don't know. It depends on the judge. You show up at court.
Oh, but I mean, are there
I don't
options?
know. I've never had that happen.
Well, what happened on yours?
In my particular case, I called the mortgage company and said, "What's going on there?" I said, "The mortgage isn't paid. What are you talking about? I have a closing," and I faxed them the settlement statement.
Oh, that one, yeah. But so you've never had somebody like, well, if there was a tenant owner, in the house,
Yeah.
And they were making the payments, don't you evict them?
Yeah.
And then get another one in there?
Yeah.
And
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, I mean, how would you handle it if you did a subject to and people are in the house, they made payments for 2 years and they stopped making payments? What would you do?
Well, the way I teach how to do it, and I only teach it this way because I did it both ways and I know which way works, is when they come in, they're going to give you an option consideration deposit, at least 3 to 5% down.
Right.
So you want at least 8 or 10 grand. Sometimes I go for 15 grand.
Yeah.
So the smart thing to do is not to spend that money, put it in an escrow account, so when they don't pay you, you have money.
Sure. And
or if they move out and you need to repair the place, you have money.
Okay. Do you structure so that the tenant sends you the payments and you forward it to the bank?
I own the house.
Right. So, okay. That way you would know if they're not making payments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I own the house, so they're going to send me a monthly payment.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lease it to them with an option. That's how I'm selling it to them. So I bought it on subject to, and I sold it on a lease option. So they have an option. So they gave me money, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 for option consideration deposit.
Mm-hmm.
I hold that on escrow. If they don't pay me, I can still make my mortgage payments. Mm-hmm. If they wreck the house, I still have money that they gave me. Okay, which has happened to me both times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If they cash me out, then I pay off the mortgage and I keep my profit.
Right.
Because I didn't sell to them for $160. I sold to them for $200 what the house is worth.
Sure. And there's your profit. So it sounds like if you do it right, you don't even get to that step of foreclosure from the bank.
I've never had it happen. I've done well over 100 houses. I don't know how many subject to, but I've never had it happen.
No, it's a good question for somebody to ask, and
Right.
and your answer is totally correct. But if you do it right, you don't even get that far. You handle it.
Right.
Good.
But the point is that when they ask the question, you got to know how to answer it. And the answer is that because I'm on the deed and you're on the loan, we both go to court together.
Yeah.
So I'm not stealing your house. I'm not walking away. I'm not leaving you in a lynch.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to forget this because I want to make a point, but I want to come back to it. But if I forget it, remind me. I want to tell you about how to get private money.
How to get private money?
Yeah. And it's the same thing in this scenario. And but let me go on and I'll come back.
It's part of
to
this
it.
episode.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the rules of how to get money, how to get private money. There's laws on how to get private money,
Mm-hmm.
and if you understand them, and I didn't realize this till just recently.
Yeah.
If you understand them, you can get a lot of money.
Nice.
And it applies to a subject to house too.
I'm going to hold my finger up in the air to remember that.
Okay, good. So the next thing is so the deed goes in your name, the loan stays in their name. So you handle that objection on the sales cycle. Okay. The objection I got on the call right now that people are listening is they're going to go, what about the due on sale clause, Bill? What happens if the bank finds out that you did this? Right? I get that all the time.
Yeah, if the deed transfers, the bank goes, wait a minute.
It has in its mortgage, in its documents, that if they do pass a deed, then they can ask for the mortgage money.
Yeah.
In other words, pay it in full.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I've never heard of it happening, although I've heard of stories like in Texas and California and people I don't know. But anybody that I know, I've never heard of it happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's likely it won't. Why is that? Because the bank wants what?
They just want to be paid.
Their interest.
Huh?
As much as their capital. But they want to be paid. Because how does the bank make money? It makes money getting rid of its money, not keeping it. Right? So the bank needs to get rid of the money. So if they call the loan in, they got to go get a new loan somewhere to make their money earn.
Yeah, they're not making interest on money sitting in their account.
So if you're a good boy or a good girl and you keep making your monthly payments, they're happy.
But the check is in your name that you send to the bank instead of the original owner's name?
You think that somebody's actually sitting there looking at the loan documents and saying there's the right name on the check?
Apparently not.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Matter of fact, I would be surprised if anybody even looks at them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that.
They look at the dollar amount. They type it in.
Loan amount.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Okay.
But take all that aside, just because we're safe home buyers, there is a way to do it. And what I do is I take all my properties and put them in a trust.
Oh.
So what happens is when the bank comes along and says, hey, I say, we're doing estate planning.
Put it
And
in
I'm the
trust.
trustee.
And you're the trustee.
So when I call the bank, because I'm going to have to get control over the loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have documents that are authorization of release forms and power of attorney. Okay, which, by the way, the power of attorney is only done because I started doing that because 3 years later, when I'm trying to do a closing, when I sell the house, I need a signature from the person, and I can't find them.
Oh, they might have moved on. Yeah, they live out of state, out of country.
They may not even moved at all. They might have just changed their phone number, and I don't have it. And
Oh.
it's unlisted.
Huh.
I have no way to get a hold of them.
Huh.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be that fancy.
Okay.
They just change their phone number.
Yeah.
You know, their kid was giving them a hard time, or boyfriend, or whatever, or girlfriend, whatever. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Bill collectors, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with a power of attorney, that gives me the authorization to, as long as they're alive, because a power of attorney only works for live people.
That's
if they
right.
pass away, it's a different
That's right.
thing. But as long as they're alive, I can use a power of attorney, which I don't know if you would know if they were alive or not. I have no idea.
Yeah, right. If you couldn't find them, so
Yeah.
if they can't prove they're dead, just sign the papers, get
Right.
the house, and everybody move on.
So when I get in my closing, I have a power of attorney so I can sign the documents and get through the closing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I call the bank up, and I say to the bank, "Hey, Mr. Banker, we put the house in a trust, and from now on, I am the trustee. So if you want to get any business done on this piece of property, you need to speak to me."
Mm-hmm.
This is not so easy to do sometimes with banks. But you fax them, they're like, "Okay, well, we can't release any information." I said, "Well, I have a release document
Mm-hmm.
to release,
Release information
Yep.
from the original seller.
Yep.
Gives permission to look at his
So
information.
I fax that in, and
Because it's still his loan.
it takes a day or two for them to get through it. Sometimes they ask for a power of attorney, and I'll provide that. Once they see the documents, now they can give me access to the account.
Yeah.
They'll change everything on the account except the name. So I'll tell them from now on, any correspondence needs to go to this address, and I give them my address,
Mm-hmm.
and I give them my phone number.
Mm-hmm.
If there's online stuff, I'll just change. Well, I won't change usernames and passwords because I want the seller to be able to go onto their online account and see that I've been making payments. So I won't. If there's any online banking for the mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just get my own. I'll either use their username and password, or I'll get my own if I
Okay.
can do that.
Yeah.
So this way here they know what's going on. They can go check on the loan anytime they want.
Right.
Okay. So now I get all the bank documents changed. So now all the correspondence comes to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I start making payments.
Yeah.
I own the house. So what happens if the person says to me, "Well, I owe 150, and you want to pay me 160? And what do you do? How do you get them 10 grand?"
Say again. You got the
So
house.
it's a subject to, so I
Yeah.
can pay up to 160.
Mm-hmm.
They owe 150,
Hmm.
and they want 10 grand. So how do you buy that house?
Well, you're still getting somebody to lease it with an option to buy.
Yep.
And
Yeah, but for you to buy the house, you need 10 grand.
they won't wait for it to come. Well, that's all. That's the most you're probably going to get, or close to what you're going to get from the eventual buyer. Well, what if you gave him less for the property?
Okay, and they say no.
Well, they have to give you something if you want cash.
They have to give you something
Well,
if they want cash.
if they want something from you, like I want cash.
No.
Okay, so they have to negotiate something back to you.
Okay.
For you to do
So
that.
most of the properties, so you don't have an answer. I got it.
Okay, I'm trying to fudge my way out of it.
So most of my properties, when they wanted money, I told them I would write them a note and put them in second position, and when I cash out, they get paid.
Okay.
Now, in this particular case, what you're talking about is if they wanted if they had $10,000, and they wanted $10,000, I would tell them I would give them a $10,000 note, and when I sell the property, they get paid.
Yeah. If they want it right now.
Guy says, I want it right now. I want the 10 grand right now. Okay, so if I give you $10,000, I can only pay you $150 grand for the property.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just saying give and take.
That's what he owes is $150 grand.
Mm.
So you start negotiating.
Yep.
So usually what I do, because the margins are bigger, is I usually double the amount of cash that they want and take it off the price of the house. It's an arbitrary formula, but that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So if he wants $5 grand, I double it, make it 10 grand, and I subtract it from the price of the house.
Okay.
If there's equity to do it with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes it just comes down to this is as much as I can do, and that's it. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. Well, you have to know what your numbers are, what will work for you.
Right.
If it doesn't work for you, you don't do the deal.
Right.
But what I think of when I see deals is that, honestly, if you can't figure out a way to do it, what's he going to get from somebody else?
Right.
Unless they're stupid.
Right.
And make a bad deal for them.
Right.
Because the deal is a deal. The numbers are the numbers.
Right.
You're
And
not dealing
math doesn't lie.
No, you're not dealing some alternate reality.
Right.
So that's like your question. The person says, I don't want to do it. Says, well, what are you going to do if I don't buy it? If you don't sell it to me, what are you going to do?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I did a lot of was put a second mortgage in place, okay, and purchase the house. And then sometimes I would go back later on if they were big mortgages. You know, maybe they wanted the money after a year or so. So suppose I owe the guy 20 grand, I'll tell him I'll give you 6 grand now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ahead of time?
Yeah, and a lot of times we would do a deal or something would happen and we would try to short the note if we could. Sometimes we didn't. It depended on the person. You know, depending on what they were asking. You know, because time changes everything.
Well, I think there's always a rule when you're talking terms, is that the longer the money sits around, the more it would tend to grow. Just
Right.
if you put money in a bank, it just grows. Things
Right.
just grow if you leave it sitting. So
Right.
if the sooner you want money, the less you get. The longer you will willing to wait, the more you can get.
Right.
So if somebody wants money earlier, well, they might be willing to take less to get the privilege of having it now instead of later.
Right.
Like, I'll give you 1 hamburger today or 2 hamburgers next week. What do you want?
Right.
If you can't wait, you take the one now.
Right. And that's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay. So all that said, so I take the house subject to. I put the house in a trust, which is not hard to do. I mean, most lawyers don't know how to do this, by the way, so don't go to your lawyer or go to your lawyer, but I'm going to tell you right now they're going to make it very complex. My document is a deed of trust. So you sign the deed, and it automatically puts it in a trust. It's a 2-page document. It's done.
Right.
Then I have a trust declaration, which is 4 or 5 pages on legal paper. That I fill in 2 or 3 blanks, and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
The deed gets notarized and 2 witnesses in the state of Connecticut, and it's in a trust. It's just that simple.
In all the communication you do with the bank about you being the trustee, do you do that up front all the time or only if they query what's going on?
No, I call them and tell them that we put the house in a trust. I don't say we're doing estate planning. I just said we put the house in a trust. They assume it's estate planning.
Mm-hmm.
And that from now on, all correspondence needs to go to the trustee, and I'm the trustee.
Okay.
So I'd like to set that up with you.
Mm-hmm. So you have it all taken care of up front,
Right.
no questions, it's all set.
Right.
No red flags, no fixing it after the fact.
No.
The horse is out of the barn, and you're trying to get them back in. That's the way I like to do things.
You go to the town hall with the deed,
Mm.
and you file the deed. Now you realize I did my first 70 or 80 houses. I never used an attorney, a realtor, nothing. I just did it all myself because I was trained how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the deed with you go to the town hall with the deed and a transfer tax form and a check because you're gonna have to pay the transfer tax, which is 1%. So if we paid $160,000, we got to pay $1,600.
Yeah.
Okay. Often I would pay those fees for acquiring the house.
Mm-hmm.
Not often. I mean, it depended on what was going on, but often I paid those fees as part of the.
If you don't pay, who pays it?
Make the seller pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody has to when the deed conveys.
Yeah, not necessarily they would give you a check and they would pay it. I mean, the deal we did in Newington, she paid it. She paid it out of her proceeds.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote a check. Remember, she wrote a check because we set the deal up that way.
Mm-hmm.
I told her she needed to pay it.
Mm.
Now, fortunate for her, the taxes are paid in the rear, so I had to give her tax money. So she only ended up writing a check for instead of $1,300 or $1,400, she wrote a check for $300 because we had given her a tax credit.
Right.
So there's all different scenarios. But usually what happens is if I'm giving them $1,600, I'll double it and take $3,000 off the price of the house, and we negotiate. It's all transparent up front. It has a lot to do with negotiating.
It's all give and take.
Yeah. So now what happens is you put the house. So they signed my 6 documents because that's all it takes is 6 documents. The deed being one of them. And I think there's a cover your ass letter, which is explaining that there's a due on sale clause, and if it happens that, we're not gonna buy the house. We're gonna just do whatever we got to do. We're not going to get the money and paying the mortgage off.
Mm-hmm.
There's a power of release. A release form. There's 6 documents.
Yeah.
Okay. You sign the 6 documents with them. At that point is when you go to work. That's when you call the bank, and that's when you do all the things and get things set up. In the interim, the first thing you're going to need to do is do a title search to make sure you can. I'll do all that before I file the deed. Make sure that the house is free and clear and that I can get a good deed.
That's right.
And it's called a warranty deed. So do you know what a warranty deed is?
I understand that that's a deed that proves there's no other encumbrances and you're the sole owner. There's no funny business done.
It's warrantying that. The warranty part is that there is no stops.
No liens, no anything.
That the deed is clear.
Yeah.
And often, which I do now, which I wasn't doing then, was a little risky, but I would not buy title insurance. Now I buy title insurance. Mostly I buy title insurance now for my private lenders.
Right.
Okay. Make sense?
No, you have to protect them.
Yeah.
That's your bank.
Right. So what happens is you get all the documents. You go to the town hall after you've done your title search. You go to the town hall. They move out. I never, ever, ever give money to anybody until they move out. Never, ever, never, 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 ever, 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 never.
Mm.
So if I say to them, I'm going to give you a check for $10,000, we'll say, it's after they move out and I do an inspection. And there have been many a times where I deduct from the check. Because they took a refrigerator they weren't supposed to. They put a hole in the wall. There's a flood in the basement. There's so many things that can happen. Because it's a month later.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or 3 weeks anyways. I mean, I've done it a week later, but it's usually a month later.
Doesn't take more than a day.
No. There's all kinds of things that can happen. Okay. Now, the only other thing I want to talk about before we move on, because you don't have your finger up anymore.
Private money.
Yeah.
It's under the table.
Yeah. So the only other thing I want to bring up is insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So if the insurance company is through the mortgage person, that's a little dangerous. I did that on some of them where the insurance, you just keep paying the mortgage payment and it's automatically insured. Problem is that the check is going to go to your seller, who no longer owns the house.
Say that again?
Yeah. So, which part?
The insurance is arranged through the mortgage.
Yeah, so when you pay,
originally,
it's called PITI, right? Pity.
Yeah.
It's payment, insurance, taxes.
Right.
Payment, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Principal, interest, taxes, insurance.
Right.
So it was set up originally with the mortgage with it included.
Right.
Okay.
So if something happens to the house, who's the check going to go to?
Oh.
The policy's in their name.
Oh, it goes to the mortgage loan owner, yeah.
So after some time, I realized that, and nothing happened to me. I just realized that. So I started putting the insurance in. I would get my own insurance policy.
Yeah.
And I would put it in my own name. So this way here, the lost payee and all that stuff was correctly done.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing is if you are in second position on a note and your insurance company, and the insurance company's in their name, it's likely that you could not get paid if there's not enough proceeds from the insurance check.
Right, and you own the house. The deed's in your name.
Right.
And if he gets the money, he's not going to go fix the house, is he?
Right.
There's a problem.
Right.
Thanks for the money, Bill.
There's litigation.
Yeah.
So you could do it that way, but it's advised that you insure. So one of the things you should do is and then call the bank and say, I don't want to pay for insurance. I got my own insurance.
Right.
The estate has its own insurance.
Is there any time that you have to get insurance? Like if the loan value is too high? Is there any time you have to get insurance through the mortgage? Instead of just getting your own insurance separately? I've never had my insurance through my mortgage. I was always on my own.
I don't know why that. It's probably because the bank wants to make sure that they're insured.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some banks want to control all of that so they know that if something happens, especially properties that are being sold to subprime people.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure all that stuff's encumbered in there because those type of people are very clever. And if they could not pay an insurance policy and save $180 a month or $110 a month, they'll do that.
Yeah.
So some of those lending institutions require that the payment's stuffed with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this way here they're in control. So if
Right.
the risky person is already risky, why make it more risky?
Yeah.
So, but not always. I mean, with some companies, it's just their policy because they want to make sure they can control all of the risk.
Yeah, I'm just asking because in case I ever did that, they said, no, you can't do that. So I understand how it works.
Yeah. So we call this deal hacking because if you do subject to and you get the deed in your name and you own the house for 6 months or a year, you could easily go and just refinance the house now. So even if it's a house that you're living in, you did a subject to deal, you're living in the house, you're paying the guy's mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could have a loan for 27 years. If he's got 27 years on his loan, you can have a loan for 27 years and never apply for it.
Right.
Right, which is why you can buy houses no bank qualifying.
Mm-hmm. And if the mortgage is at a low interest rate and the current rates are higher, might as well hang on to it.
Right. But you might want to put it in your own name.
Yep. There's
Right.
always some guy lurking in the background somewhere.
You never know. But it's that would be the best deal hacking for me. Is you go buy the house subject to, you buy it the way we're talking about, and then later on you just cash it out.
You know what's cool about this? You have 7 different ways you can buy houses, but I've seen you mix and match.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is, if it's close enough to each other or something, you can use the information because it's just information, it's just knowledge,
Right.
and it doesn't get stuck in a box someplace. You can pull it out. It's like tools.
Right.
You can mix match and use it. And use a conventional mortgage with unconventional purchase,
Right.
creative purchase. It's it just shows it's like to a musician, it's improvising.
Right. Right.
So it's cool to think that, but you have to know your tools pretty well before you start mixing and matching.
Right. That's what I do. That's how I make offers.
Well, you know it so well. You can pull something from one end, stick it on the other end, and combine things that way. Us newbies are still trying to learn the basic tools.
That's why I try to keep it simple and not try to mix and match like I'm talking about now.
Yeah, but it's just good to know that it can be done. So if you think some crazy thing like, well, that's 2 different things at once, well, maybe it's smart to do. Check with somebody who knows what they're doing, but it could be the right thing to do.
Right.
If it fits the situation, solves the problems, and everybody wins.
The best deal hacking to do, the quickest, easiest, best deal hacking to do is just a lease option.
Yeah.
Just go lease from someone with an option to purchase and cash out. That's deal hacking.
Mm-hmm.
Your own property.
Mm-hmm.
You live in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, you don't think you can buy a piece of property? Just listen to enough of these podcasts and do some of my training. Go to flippinghouses.club /podcast, and everything is there. And just go get go watch some of the videos. I have some training on there, $97, $197, and it's not a lot of money. Maybe you think it's a lot of money, but, I think the most expensive thing we have is like $297.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if you can find that on the website, to be honest with you, because I like to be part of that, so you do it the right way. You know what I mean? But that's just me being a control freak.
Yeah. No, you have to pay for education. You have to pay to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's not free. Nothing's free.
Right. I mean, we give a lot of free information here, and we give a lot at the meetup.
That is, yeah.
We give a lot at the meetup.
A lot.
The meetups, I go way too far. My exchange is way out with the meetup guys. Which, by the way, we do a live meeting the third Wednesday of every month at 128 Center Street, which soon might change, but we'll do with that when that happens. But just go to meetup.com. Meetup.com. And you can see all of our meetings there, the live meetings. Just type in Flipping Houses for Rookies on meetup.com and you'll find us. I think we have 400 or 500 members at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the meetups are like 25, 30 people. I think last month we had 30-something people, right?
Bill, what would happen if 400 people came?
Oh. I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
I hope not.
Hey, you ready to tell us about the private money yet?
No, one thing I want to say before I say that is I want people to realize that I make money flipping houses. I mean, you're with me all the time. What am I doing?
Flipping houses.
Yeah.
I can't get your attention half the time.
Because I'm off doing shit, right?
Yeah.
And I have a marketing company I still run.
Yep.
So, I mean, the training is cool, and, you know, once in a while I make some money. Like we just did a workshop and I made a few bucks. But to be honest with you, the money comes in and goes out. By the time I paid for the workshop and I paid for Emma to record it and the food, and there was like hardly no money left.
No,
that's
that's not for money.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of work.
And I do it because I'm just giving back. You know what I mean? I couldn't be where I am if I didn't do that. All right. So we're all done. We're at an hour, right?
No, we're not done.
Why not?
There's how many laws? Hey, Bill, how many laws are there to getting private money?
I don't know because I need to write that and I need to articulate it. But here's the point that I wanted to make. Do you know how to... The way to get private money. The way to get private money is this way. The first thing a money person wants to know is how are they going to get back their capital?
Yeah.
And is it safe?
That's not the interest. That's the capital.
So if I lend you 15 grand,
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
First thing I want to know is my 15 grand safe and am I going to get it back?
Yeah, that's good because the first time I tried it, I was talking about how much interest they're going to get, which is, 1,000 or 500 or 2,000. But the 15,000 is a lot more money.
Right.
That's the first thing they want to get back.
Then the next thing they want to know is how are they going to get their return?
Yeah.
So what happens is just like what you're talking about when you, and I'm going to do some stuff on this. I'm going to actually have a seminar and stuff like that to explain this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more to it than what I'm telling you right now. But the first thing you can do is assure the person that's going to lend you money that it's safe and that you will get it back. And with real estate, that's easy.
Yeah.
Say, listen, man, I got a $100,000 piece of property. You're lending me $65,000. You're going to be in first position. If I walk away or if something happens, you can get I'll give you the name of my attorney, and I'll even put, you don't have to do this, but I'll even pay for foreclosure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could actually foreclose on me, and you can get the property back, and it'll probably cost you about $2,000 or $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have the property back. Matter of fact, and I've done this before with some lenders, and just to get the money when I first started, and I don't suggest this, I said to them, if you're nervous about your money, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll sign a quick claim. So as soon as I don't pay, you can file the quick claim, and there's no foreclosure proceeding.
And the house is theirs.
Mm-hmm. To make sure that he was safe with his money. And until they feel safe with the original capital, they aren't going to want to go to the next step, which is how much you're going to give me and how am I going to get paid.
No, what good is that if they don't get their money back in the first place?
Right. So when you're talking to private lenders, the upfront, most important, foremost portion that you can do is give them confidence that you are going to get the money back.
Right. And it's backed by the collateral of the house.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything to a money guy. Doesn't mean anything with the money guy because it's frozen in the house. How does he get it out?
Right. And how does he get it out?
Well, he has to do a foreclosure proceeding, and you might have to go through all that, and he needs to understand that. Yeah. And maybe he needs to talk to his attorney about what's my risk here. And the attorney said, well, your risk is about $3,000 in 6 months.
Mm.
But if the money's low enough or if the money's correct enough, then it's not a problem.
But then he has to sell it.
He has to sell the property to get his collateral, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, but the point is this. Once you do some deals with somebody, which is why it's so easy for me to do deals, is because I perform.
Yeah.
And I keep my word.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, what is he less and less worried about?
Well, and the checks keep coming in. They just. Well, I know they call you and say, "Hey, where are you? Don't you need more money?"
Right. So I just saw my money the other day, and he told me that. He says, "I just found an extra $60,000. Can you use it?"
Yeah.
Right. So, but my point is this: if I do a deal over and over and over, and he keeps getting his money, what's he less worried about?
It's money.
His capital.
Yeah.
And getting it paid back.
Yeah.
Because he knows I can perform. He knows somehow, some way I'll perform.
Yep.
Now, I had a deal one time that I had trouble with the deal. I promised him 12%, which I never do. And I went to him and I said, I got trouble with this deal. I'm like losing my money. It's like one of the only houses I ever lost money on. Right? One of the few, I should say. And it hasn't happened in many years. I mean, it happened in the beginning, but it hasn't happened in many years. Well, anyways, I had this house. It's my own stupidity. Bottom line is this. I went to him and said, listen, I'm in trouble here. Here's how it's going to work. I'll pay you the 12% I owe you. I'll do that if I have to. But if you're willing to let me pay 9%, I can break even and it won't cost me like $5,000. Oh, no. I don't want you to spend no money. No, 9%'s good.
Yeah.
And I went and made him there. He was ecstatic that I gave him the 9%. You know what I mean? So you can always negotiate, because all I said to him is I'll pay you the 12% and I got the $5,000. If I have to, I'll pay it. No. We'll take 9%. No, we really appreciate it. We really, no. I said, but I want to reemploy the money. Oh, yeah. No. So.
They're willing to give you more money.
Yeah. And we've done.
Well, by now I know.
Yeah. Okay. So the most important part about private money or lenders is the fact that they have to feel secure that they're going to get their capital back.
Yeah.
Now, here's what happens. People that don't understand the business, like hard money lenders, have lots of paperwork and lots of lawyers thinking they're protecting themselves. And because there's people in this world that lie and don't do things, so they want to have recourse. That's their way of confirming that their money's safe. Because they feel like if they have a bunch of lawyers and a bunch of documents, they can nail you to the cross. So if you have somebody that's doing that, realize that there's another law in life, and the law is this. People accuse those of what they themselves are doing.
Oh, yeah.
People accuse those of what they themselves are doing. So if you have somebody that needs a lot of paperwork and is really cautious with all that kind of stuff.
Why is he so cautious?
Because he himself has done that before.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Or they're just in terror, or they're just afraid of everything, and they're just trying to protect every scenario possible. Either one of those situations I don't think are good. You made a very valid point, which I never thought of. Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. Deal with people that are used to doing that kind of thing. Don't deal with a worker that has a job that saved $200,000 in his 401k because that's all he's got.
Yep.
Deal with a business guy that's used to writing checks for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. You know what I mean? And used to that kind of money, and used to that kind of way of doing business.
Yeah, I made the mistake. I went for the people that I knew in my family that had money, but most of them were just too scared.
Yeah.
Because they were not businessmen. And then I go talk to my auto mechanics. And turns out, oh, yeah, I'm a realtor. I've done that stuff. And, I got this house I want to buy. They're investors. They have a business. That's an investment. So they think like that.
Right.
So they don't look at you like you have four heads because you want to make money on money and do things. So,
right.
Yeah, might as well ask money from an investor, not a non-investor.
Right. So, or somebody that has a mentality of doing business.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could ask a person to... do you invest in anything? Or have you ever thought of investing? Yeah, really, I've always wanted to.
Right.
Or oh, no, I have my money in the bank, it's safe, blah, blah, blah.
My experience is people that amass a lot of money, not all of them, but a lot of them are fearful people. And that's why they have a lot of money, because then they can write a check. Anytime something gets uncomfortable for them, they can just write a check. Now that's a stereotypical, not fair statement, but I have found that a lot of people that have big, a decent amount of money will tend to be very fearful about what to do with it.
Yeah.
So they got to feel good. They got to know that you have control, or they have control over their money. They don't want to just give you their money and lose control.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing is how much control do they have?
So safety is a huge issue then.
Yeah. So when you're talking to people about money, you think that all they want is interest. Well, they do, but before they want that, the undercutting law is that they're still in control and they still have some risk, and which by the way brings me to the last point that I want to make, and then we're going to get out of here because we're 10 minutes late. When you're doing this type of business, the people you want to deal with are asset lenders. They're not credit lenders.
They're lending on your asset,
not on you.
Yeah, like not my credit line, my credit report. It's the house is the collateral. It's the asset. Okay.
And when you find those lenders, they don't care if you perform or not. As a matter of fact, they probably prefer you default so they can get the asset. Mm-hmm. And when you find those lenders, you're in good shape.
Now, what do they call themselves? They don't go around calling themselves
asset lenders.
They call themselves that.
Yeah. Oh. So just ask for asset lenders, or ask when they lend, are you an asset lender? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because a bank would be a credit lender. What's your credit score? What's your income? That's credit.
Right.
They check in your credit history.
Right.
If they trust you,
they're looking for your performance.
Because they don't. If you borrow money on a house, yeah, you got the house, but that's all you got.
So the bank is looking for your performance. Mm. The asset lender is looking for the performance of the property.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So which brings me to the last point that I want to make is if the lender feels like you're too much of a risk, what do? They charge more interest. The higher the interest, the more they think you're a risk. So if you have a private lender that is charging you 12% and 3 points, means he doesn't trust you. Means you don't have a relationship with him, a.k.a. the language private lender. Okay, because you know the guy, you have a relationship with him. They know you. They know more about you than just which house you're buying.
Yeah,
they know how many. They know, but they probably know your wife and kids. They probably have some relationship with you. There's more than just the money. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they feel safe with you because they feel like they know your habits. See, a guy that's charging 12% and 3 points doesn't know your habits. And he's just the higher the risk, the more it costs you. Of
course, you're just a business proposition to him.
So the way you lower your interest is to have the lender have confidence in you and feels like it's not as risky.
Because you're increasing your credibility every deal, aren't you?
Right.
So even if you start at a higher number with
you're going to have to start that way. You're going to have to start with someone until you prove yourself. It's just the way the business is. Mm-hmm. And you can reduce your interest because the person lending you money feels you're less and less risky. Right?
Yeah. But the thing is to start somewhere.
Yeah, the way money works is the more, like in the stock market, the higher the risk, the more you get paid. Mm-hmm. And the risk is losing the money.
Yeah.
Right? So the higher the risk, the more you get paid. It's opposite here. Mm-hmm. But they feel it's that same scenario, except you're the recipient of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Was it worth an extra 12 minutes of our podcast?
That's important. That's about where I'm sitting right now. I'm trying to work through that and have some plans on what I'm doing. Sure.
Good. So then maybe what we'll do is next week we'll talk about that the whole podcast.
Okay.
So if you need us, you can go to info@flippinghouses.club if you have any questions. That's info@flippinghouses.club. You can go to flippinghouses.club podcast. There's all kinds of stuff there. Or you can just go to flippinghouses.club, and there's a bunch of free videos you can get. Okay? All right, Pete, we're way overboard today, but I think we did a good job. So over and out. Go make some money. We'll see you next week.
Bye, Bill.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.